Hey, I'm Gordon Crock. Welcome to the School of Crock. Listen up and try and learn. These whips you would see very often in stadium, arena cross, supercross, there'd be the odd motocross where the track designer would build these into it. The main thing that you can concentrate on here is obviously skipping across the top. These are not the sort of whips where you would jump 2, 3, 2, 3, that type of style. These are the sort of whips where you want to get on top and you want to skip across the top. It's very important to try and keep the bike from launching into the air on entry. The best way of doing that is to come in and lift the front wheel over the first actual whip. If you do that, then it keeps the bike from jumping into the whips. If you were to jump into the whips, then you're sort of coming down into them and you're landing down into the hollows, where obviously the front end can dip in and you'll be risking a big old cartwheel crash. So the best way to avoid that from happening is to come on the approach of the whips and you actually lift the front wheel and you lift it either over the top of the first one or you just skim it off the top of it, and this allows the bike to stay on the ground as you come into them. You then must have your weight completely over the back end of the bike and driving hard. Acceleration is absolutely crucial. If the bike is to de-accelerate, you'll find that it will drop down into the whips and everything will slow down and it'll want to pitch out over the front of the bike. If you think of a speedboat on the water and planing across the top of waves, this is the same idea. You want to get the bike onto the top of the whips, and then the important thing is to keep it on the top of them, and the way to do that is by having the gas on and having the throttle open. As you're doing this, you'll find that you're building momentum, obviously because the throttle is open, and you need to be careful with your timing when you approach the end of the whips. If there's a tight turn or if there's another jump or something like that at the end of the whips, you need to be careful that you get yourself stopped at the end. The danger areas are if the bike is to start to skip sideways. You must try and keep the bike very straight, and it's important that you have the bike going in a straight line. If it was to get a little bit sideways, you'd find it would probably start to rebound and kick one way harder, one way the other way harder, and then you'd end up with a big resulting crash or having to shut the throttle and lose all your speed. It's a great opportunity to pass people, and it's going to be a real good tool to have in your bag of tricks if you can get through these confidently and fast. So it's worthwhile practicing them. I would encourage you to have a fair level of commitment whenever you're approaching them, and just work on the technique. And best of luck. It's difficult, but it's worth it if you master it. It's going to be good for your lap times at Supercross.